Said I wanted to save her, loaded as a gun. Like a broken record, just the same old song. Run around in circles, damn, it's already done.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to the old Paul Puckett Art Podcast. So just recently got back from Jackson, Wyoming to the One Fly event that I do out there. Well, I've done it now for 5 years, and it's such a great event, something I look forward to, and it's a way for me to give back to basically the 4 years that I spent there from 2000 to 04. And I see a lot of old friends, meet a lot of new friends. And this year we had the first year for our team. And we stayed with one of our team members, Scotty Rogers. He's got a place out there. It's perfect. It's great. Thanks again, Scott, for letting us invade your compound. We had a new guy that I met, Court DeHart, that was on our team as well, and my old buddy, Kyle Wright. And Kyle's background is, he's got, a lot of things going on, but his immediate background is that he started the Borracho Pescador tournament that takes place in Port O'Connor, and we kind of get into that during this interview because, I went to Jackson not with a total plan of doing a podcast, but I did take my recorder in case something, worthwhile happened. And as you know it, we hang around the house at night in the kitchen kind of as a way to kind of start ending the day, and I just got the idea late night to start recording. And so we this first one, I'm going to call it In the Kitchen with Kyle Wright, and this will be volume 1 because volume 2 is going to be In the Kitchen with Fred Stivers. And we talk about how we met in Jackson back in the old days, kind of what Kyle is doing these days with his restaurant business in Fort Worth, and then on to how Borracho started, and that's kind of what we talked about. It's a quick hour, and it was a lot of fun. We were very tired the next morning because we stayed up way too late and got about 4.5, 5 hours of sleep. So here we go. I appreciate y'all checking this out, and hope y'all have a good one. Get out there and do a little fishing.
Leaving the building.
I'm recording.
All right. I tell you, tonight, what I thought was so crazy, Paul.
I want you to lean in. Just lean in.
Was being in a room full of people that there was all these folks that were here back in the day that when we were here, because they've become older and they've been a part of Jackson, but then there was all these new people, and then there we were.
Yeah.
The guys that came from this fly shop, organically grown, even though we're both from Texas, and we ended up, rolling into the same space at the same time. And all of a sudden, you're in a tent full of people that, in a space actually that you wanted to be the whole time that you were here, because you heard about how special the One Fly tournament was. And here you are with your buddy, and your buddies, you have impressed us so much with all your talents. And then this guitar all of a sudden goes from $3,000 to $6,000 to $7,000 to 15 to 20 and 23 grand for your guitar. And
it makes me kind of question what I should be doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I need to be building nothing but guitars. But yeah, so we're here in Jackson, Wyoming, early September, and we're here for the One Fly. And I've got my good buddy Kyle Wright here. I've got Fred Stivers over here also drawing and messing around with some flies. And this is the next chapter of the podcast, and I'm pumped because Kyle Wright, originally from Lubbock, Texas, now Fort Worth, Texas. we'll get into later kind of what he does and all the different things that he's involved with. But I'm just happy that you're here in Jackson during the One Fly, and like tonight was the first night, the little banquet, the auction, and just kind of a way to get everyone involved that's here for the weekend. A lot of new people too, and a lot of people that have been here for a long time. And like you said, we get to see a lot of old familiar faces, and it's kind of a complete circle because it's been 24, 25 years since you lived here, and it's crazy sometimes to see these familiar faces, and it brings back memories as if it was like a year ago. Like it all kind of brings flashback, you know?
We talked about it today, Paul, when we went out on Flat Creek and walked through there, and just going back to those days to where, and I asked you, I said, didn't we used to hike over a wall or something?
Flat Creek.
A fence to walk onto this place. And you go, yeah, I guess the worming disease and cleaning your wading boots is over.
Yeah, because that made you wash them because you walk over the thing.
Totally, which is a blessing.
Yeah.
And just kind of going back to a place like that where we were so accustomed right at the 1st of August to walk out there and try to find one of those big cutthroats that were just hanging on the bank and that would eat a hopper, and you'd be super strategic about getting down and not spooking them beforehand and drifting a hopper downstream to the fish. And today was tricky. I felt like a lot of those fish had seen a lot of people and were moving, and it was super technical, and it was a good day, but nonetheless,
there wasn't a lot of action happening out there today. It was midday too, but usually you see some rises and some fish making mistakes.
Totally,
and that just didn't really happen today.
Yeah, it brought up a lot of memories. We when we came back to the car and had a cold beer afterwards, and we reminisced about Slough Creek and talked about hiking into the first and second meadow of Slough Creek and just kind of going back, and it's wild that your mind doesn't go there when you're in the town that you're in and with your family and doing the things you're doing, but as soon as you go back to a place like Jackson and for our history here, it just all of a sudden everything just comes rapidly. All the memories just come flowing out of the trips you did and the fish you caught and the storms you were in and the moose that were there. Just all the different things. It's awesome.
It was funny because I was fishing today, and I was, I like to walk way down and then find a spot and then walk back up against the current. That's just how I feel like normally you should do it as far as dealing with other people. Because if someone's going to walk down on you, they're going to squeeze you, and the next thing you know, they've fished the water that you were planning on fishing. And I had this moment today where I had this guy kind of walking down on me. And in that moment, I sat there and I got a little negative, and I was like, oh, this place has changed. Like, these people are here, and they're fishing here. There's too many people here. But that's the same issue we dealt with back in 2002 and 2003. Like, nothing, that will never change.
Yeah.
But it makes you get negative and, oh, everyone's out here fishing this place, and they're ruining it. And that I'm no better than the person that was squeezing me. And maybe he just didn't know the correct etiquette, because I think the correct etiquette is to always yield to the person walking upstream. And maybe he's never been taught that. Maybe he doesn't know that. But at the end of the day, you always hear that these are the good old days, right? Or like, remember the good old days?
Oh,
well, today was a good old day, because 15 years from now, when I bring my daughter here again, hopefully for the 10th time, I'll look back on the day we had today and think it actually wasn't too bad back then. That day I was being all negative, and because maybe 15 years from now it's going to be the same as it was today, but you'll always think that it was so much better back then, and it just reminds you to live in the moment and realize that right now, today, when we were at Flat Creek, that was the good old day, and tomorrow is going to be another good old day, and it makes you remember that we lived here. I moved here in 2000 to 04, and I met you in 01, I think.
01.
And you had been here for a few different summers leading up to that.
That's right.
And we worked at West Bank Anglers, and we saw Reynolds tonight. He's one of the original founding members that started West Bank, and that West Bank kind of changed my life in Dallas. And to be able to have moved here in 2000, it just changed my life. Living in Jackson for 4 years was kind of like another 4 years of like a college experience again. And maybe I learned more living here, honestly, than I did in the 6 years I was in college, And coming here for the One Fly has made me feel connected again to those 4 years. It has made me feel like I belong here again, kind of. Like the same way that when I lived here for those 4 years, I belonged here, but I left for so long, it makes me feel like I belong here again. And that's the One Fly. When I lived here, I couldn't stand it.
Yeah.
Because these people came in, and to me, I was a fly shop rat working at the shop, and these people, I need my license, and they all acted like they were the best fishermen in the world for these 2 days, and half of them probably only fished this one weekend all year long, and they kind of took over the town, and I resented it. I couldn't stand it. But now that I'm on the flip side of it, I see how important it is and how much money it raises to do river restoration projects and outreach and raising awareness of conservation and all these things that I couldn't see when I was a 26, 27, 28-year-old. But now I'm so proud to be a part of it, and I'm proud that you guys are involved, Fred and you, Kyle, and so it's exciting for me to have another One Fly weekend here in Jackson.
Well, Paul, I'll never forget the time that I walked into West Bank Anglers, and speaking of Reynolds, Pomeroy, and Kim and Steve Valitas and the whole crew that was there at that time, I will never forget walking in there and having a job, and then all of a sudden I'm part of a family, and within a family, and it's almost like Jackson is built on a family value that is unlike anything you've ever experienced. Mm-hmm. And I just think that you strive to go to places and meet people, and then as soon as you come here and you realize that this is like truly the West, like it was a harsh environment in the winter for a long time ago. Like these people couldn't survive in these winters.
Yeah.
But now you've got these amazing people that run this town, and we have been so fortunate to be a part of it. And Paul, without you, Pards, and your achievements and your talent of your amazing paintings and everything you've done, we wouldn't be able to be in this tournament. So I'm humbled. I'm truly humbled.
It's funny because you guys know that the last 5 years I've been involved, like Fred is now, on the art side of things, and being a part of the chairman's board team and kind of filling in. I did it full-fledged 1 year, but then after that I told John that I'd rather just not be in the tournament. I'd rather just come here, hang out, socialize, donate some art, and kind of go fish my own agenda.
Yeah.
Not be told to be at breakfast at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then year 2, Flip Pallet couldn't make it. So I filled in for Flip. So that was obviously, I'm not going to tell John, no, I'm good. I'm not going to fill in for Flip. Of course I filled in for Flip.
Of course.
It was a huge honor. It sucked and I was looking forward to Flip being here. So that was too bad. And then the last few years, same kind of thing. They've had like last minute dropouts, so I've filled in. But it's been a big honor to have our own team this year.
Absolutely.
And I want to kind of get into back in 2001 or 2 when you left here, you went back to Lubbock and you started a business. And I remember you telling me back in the day, I remember you talking about starting a restaurant. I don't think at the time you knew what you were going to have. I remember Gut Rockets. You were like,
yeah. Well,
what did you do?
So, leading up to coming to Jackson, I lived in what is now Chimmy's, and the downstairs area of Chimmy's was a total private party facility for all my friends, and I created the parking lot like all the friends could have their own parking spot, and we had this total.
So it's just like a social space.
Oh, total social space.
And you lived upstairs.
And I lived upstairs. So I graduate and I come up here and work for West Bank and meet Jim Ogburn. Called Jim on the phone as soon as I graduated, and I said, "Hey, I'm getting ready to come up to Jackson again and just seeing if you guys are hiring." He said, "Oh, dude, my name's Jim Ogburn."
How did you meet Jim originally?
I called him on the phone. This is first off, right
How
out of
did
the
you know
gate.
to call Jim? You called just the shop and just talked to Jim?
I knew West Bank, and I was sought after West Bank for just being on that side of the river. And
so I was working at the shop with Jim at the time. You just happened to talk to Jim.
That's right.
Okay.
And so I called Jim, or I call West Bank, and Jim answers, and he tells me, he goes, "Yeah, we're hiring actually. We're looking for some folks." And I said, "Okay, well," and he goes, "Well, what do you want?" I said, "What do you want me to do?" And he said, "Just as soon as you get into town, why don't you come by the shop?" So
you kind of had an instant connection with old man.
Dude, so old man Ogburn. So I packed my Jeep Cherokee up and had all my gear and rolled right into town, straight into the shop, and get out. And I was like, "Is Jim around?" And luckily, it wasn't.
I wonder if you asked me that.
It wasn't the 3 days off. We were 4 on, 3 off.
Yeah.
And so he was there, and he goes, "Hey, how are you?" And introduced me to Reynolds, who we saw tonight, and that was unbelievable. Reynolds looks great.
Yeah, he hadn't changed at all. It's crazy.
And so got the job, and here we go. And buddies came in. They had water boy, busboy type jobs at different restaurants, and here we were at the fly shop, and we had 4 days on, 3 days off, and we always orchestrated this deal where we could all go on this little pilgrimage each week, to where we would plan it. We would go to the Henry's Fork, or we'd go to the Beckler.
Yeah, you'd always have like a day off with someone. So
That's right.
You would overlap, maybe have me one day, then Jim one day.
Yeah,
yeah.
We had it.
Kind of worked out.
I felt like we had it dialed to where it was our crew for those 3 days off.
Yeah, and
then we would get all our flies and get ready for the trip and roll out there, and dude, you could go to Henry's Fork. You could go all the way to the Big Hole, or to the Big Hole, go into Yellowstone and camp and do whatever, and it was unbelievable.
I remember you kind of got screwed if your days off for the weekend because everything would be packed.
Yeah.
And I remember I was working towards kind of that senior fly shop rat guy, like where I'd want to be off like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
Because you didn't really need to be off on the weekend because you knew you'd be in bed at 1 or 2 in the morning and be at the shop. You knew you were only going to sleep 4 or 5 hours.
That's right.
And we survived on 4 or 5 hours of sleep before.
We didn't think anything of it.
Dude, there were a few times where I'd go to the Mangy Moose, drive down and sleep in my car in the fly shop parking lot, because I knew if I drove all the way to my place, I might sleep through my alarm or something. And
yeah, you had to be
if
right
I just
back
slept
there.
in the car, I had 5 hours of sleep, and you're saving 20 minutes each way. You get 40 more minutes of sleep, and your Kim's waking you up, and Yeah, she got used to the fact that we'd be sleeping in our car in the fucking parking lot at West Bank,
Yeah.
and we'd roll right out. I mean, we smelled better than John Greiber.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we talked about that. That's great, Paul. We talked about that leading into the trip this weekend. Like, these guides would come into the shop sometimes, and they'd been in the fucking zone to
Just
where
crusty
like
as shit.
they were
Haven't
crushing
had a day
fish.
off in 17 days.
They were fishing like 2 weeks in a row, and they were on fishing the South Fork or wherever they were, and they were dialed, and they knew exactly what 6 to 10 bugs to go grab from the fly bins. And they're like, put it on my tab, and the BO was so bad, and they didn't want to shower because they didn't want to get rid of that vibe that they have going. You know, that whole deal.
What do you think the
That aura.
longest someone didn't take a shower was? You think Greiber might have gone 2 weeks without a shower?
I think he might have gone a month, close to a month.
Yeah.
It
Remember
was
Mike
real-
May would come in with mismatching socks?
Yeah, and to kind of yell at everybody, but then he'd be the nicest guy
Yeah.
too.
Remember, he'd go, hey, which one of our clients? Because he's always the last one in.
Yeah.
He'd be the last one in. So there'll always be like 2 clients waiting because they've been waiting there for 45 minutes.
Yeah,
Mike, they're the only people in here.
yeah,
And he'd look at him and he'd go, those are my fucking clients. Be like,
Yeah.
yeah. You know, he'd be like, motherfucker. You know, because
Yeah.
it's clearly like 2 people that obviously have never fly fished before. And he had that big old slide right boat. He had just the tank of every. Oh man!
Remember we had the Mondavi folks, and shout out to those guys. Good wine. They would always come in, the Mondavis.
I don't remember that.
And they would always want, obviously, a big lunch and everything just really laid out like kind of Argentina style, where they wanted to pop corks and fucking party on the riverbank on the gravel bar. But cheers to that. I respect that.
Man, so you did like 3 summers out here, roughly? You think 3 or 4?
I would say 3. I would say 2, 1 off, and then the little time that I lived here.
And so when you left, you had your little social club in Lubbock which was now the Jimmy's.
So my dad came, just to go back to that. So my dad was due to fly in on September 11th that day, and we all know what happened. I was driving to the shop that morning, just jamming, probably widespread or something, and not knowing what's going on. Yeah, you were there that day, and I came around and walked into the shop, and you were there before me, and I think I was probably like 30 minutes after you. That was when I was due in, and you were already booking. You were already getting trips
Licenses,
going.
yeah.
And there was this aura or this feeling that I had when I walked in the shop, because again, no idea. And I walked in and you could just feel it. Reynolds was in the back
Listening to the radio.
He was weeping.
Yeah.
He was he's from New York and from the East Coast, and then people from the shop that you were dealing with were from the East Coast, and it was a feeling that was horrible from everything that I dealt with in Jackson. That was the feeling.
I remember every 5 minutes Reynolds was listening. All we had was a radio. We didn't have a TV. He was listening to the radio. He would come give us updates every 5 minutes. A Cessna airplane hit the tower. Another airplane's hit the other tower. We don't know what's going on. And I remember there was a lady from New York came to the store. We're supposed to have a trip today. We're canceling. We're going back home. We've got friends, just explaining. Yeah. The craziest thing about that day to me was listening to the radio and in my mind picturing what the radio was telling me.
Yeah.
And you know how normally you put things in your mind and they're usually worse than they really are.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna forget.
I'm the best at all that.
Well, I'm never going to forget finally getting to go to Brian Hodges' condo for lunch at 1:30.
Yes. And really know what's going on. Exactly.
And when I saw what I was manifesting in my brain for 5 hours, it was worse than I ever pictured it.
You're exactly right. We didn't see anything until we went to Brian's house, his condo, and got to see it on
across
the
the
news.
street.
And that hit it. So basically, my dad was due to come in that day, that
wild.
horrific day, and couldn't. And so it delayed his trip by like a week or 10 days or something. So he comes in like mid-September to early October. And at that point in time, I knew that, I had job contacts a little bit in Austin and a little bit here and there, but I knew at that time everything was done.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought I was just going to be up there fishing, and then I was going to slide back and get a job.
Well, I was planning on leaving 2 months later after you as well.
And so he ends up coming up and driving his Jeep from Ruidoso. He goes to Ruidoso all the way up, and he obviously had been pulling my heartstrings on creating a concept in the place that I had. The parking lot where I charged
because he
people
had restaurant background,
of course.
Yeah.
The Texas Spoon, Lone Star Oyster Bar, No Frills Grill, all the different spots. He's created so many cool concepts.
So you had it in your mind, kind of, or 100%?
I really didn't. I did not want to go back to Lubbock, Paul,
Okay.
and I was just in my mind. I was like, Lubbock's just a college town. I don't want to go back there. I'm going to go to Jackson, and then from there I go to the next, that my big spot to kind of have that humility and
Would you
it
think you were going to become like a commercial real estate guy or
exactly.
something? Okay.
But like my dad said, he goes, Kyle, you know everybody in Lubbock. You're a nobody in Austin. And he was right. Like he said, you know exactly what tech students want as far as an establishment goes. Like we have a spot right across the street from campus, and you know exactly what they want. You know the music they want. You know the food they want. The whole deal. And you would be a fool.
It would take you 20 years to figure that out.
To pass this up.
Yeah.
And he goes, furthermore, if you do this deal, and I'll never forget this. He goes, people are lazy. He goes, if you do this deal and never look back, you can come back here and you can franchise this deal, this concept, and come back here and fish and do everything you want to do.
Now, when you say this concept, did you have a concept at that time?
No, and
okay.
so he.
But you had the wanting. He had the wanting and the willingness to help you out with this.
Yeah, and this is something a lot of people don't know. So, some buddies of mine went to Ole Miss, and they came back. I think to Fort Worth when I was there, and they told me about this place. There was a Chevron station that they would all go to late night, and they would go to Proud Larry's and all these places in Oxford, and then at the end of the night they would go back to the Chevron station and have chicken on a stick or gut bombs, and they were these chimichangas. And so I told my dad about it, and I said, I told my dad the story, and I said, Dad, all my Ole Miss buddies are eating these gut bombs and chicken on a stick, and he just kept thinking about it. So when we were driving one time pre-Jackson Hole, he goes, we pulled over at Allsup's, and there was fried burritos in there, chimichangas, and he goes, and you would just like bite off a little bit of the chimney and squirt a little hot sauce in there, and then eat another bite, and he'd go, God, there's just something about these chimneys. I think you could have a whole concept of chimichangas.
Yeah.
And fast forward to where he's in Jackson now. September 11th's happened. We're hanging out with you and Jim and all the crew, and Big Hoss is in town, and he's now high and mighty. He wants me to come back home. He's ready to start this concept, and he goes, I've been thinking a lot about it, and we're like that. I think we're at Snake River Grill or something. I've been thinking a lot about it, and I just think that whole deal we talked about with those chimichangas, like that's all you need. It's cold beer and margaritas and Chimmy's got those gut rockets.
Dude, that's true.
And he said gut rockets.
Gut rocket,
when
yeah.
we've been saying gut bombs.
Yeah.
And gut rocket stuck, and then it became gut rockets and coldies.
Yeah.
And we didn't know what the hell we were doing. Even as long as he's been in the business, he really didn't know what we were doing. So he convinced me that that's our deal, and we're going to do it. And I go, you know what? I'll do it with you, buddy. Let's go. So we moved. So
you guys
back.
were pretty much partners. He had the youth of you
Yeah.
and the your know-how for that age group, what they want. He helped
right.
you kind of back it and start it, and he had the know-how too, just to start a restaurant, right? I mean,
that's it. And I said, you're right, and let's go. And so we all rolled back, and you were shortly after us when you came back. But I go back to Lubbock, and him and I lived together up above Chimmy's. That's the stabbing cabin, but I shared it with him for a little bit, a little stint. So we did that deal, and we
now
went
at the
downstairs.
at the time, did he have another restaurant?
Well, he still had some shares in the Lone Star Oyster Bar.
Okay.
Lone Star and I think the Spoon. Yeah, definitely the Spoon.
Okay.
And he started a ton of good concepts. But so we go live together, and we go downstairs, and we basically create Chimmy's day by day. We put it together, living together.
Because you already had that building.
Yeah. Our good friends, the Rushings, gave us a sweetheart deal, and to this day, it's been a sweetheart deal. And so we go and create what's now Chimmy's, and I'll never forget he had this line.
How'd you get the name Chimmy's? Chimichangas.
With chimichangas,
Okay.
yeah. I'll never forget that we had this line cook that I didn't know who to go hire as somebody to cook. But he knew about this one line cook that worked for him back in the day, and he went and got him. His name's Raymond. And without Raymond and without Alvin, we don't. Chimmy's doesn't exist because they're everything. And
are they still there with you?
Raymond is not. Raymond's still alive today, but he retired and resigned. But Alvin runs the ship. But he brought in Raymond, and we really didn't have the recipes down pat, just to where we could whip it up. He just started kind of making things real quick, like quesadillas, and making them. And we wanted to slow down and figure out how we were going to do the fish tacos and how we were going to do these things. So we had to tell Raymond to go home for a week. Stop. Just don't come. And then him and I created these concepts. And we took tartar sauce and mixed our salsa in with the tartar sauce.
Oh, cool.
Those kind of things.
Yeah.
And then brought him back and kind of taught him that and slowed him down. And our keg beer I felt like it was so hot in that walk-in cooler. And we finally got the right compressor to cool that down. And then our margaritas were terrible, dude. We could make a good margarita, shake up margarita.
Yeah.
But in terms of our frozen and rocks of the batch and the big stuff, awful. And we just slowly but surely, and meanwhile,
was that measurables or because of the actual products you were using?
The product. Yeah. It was just and granted, at this time, Paul, I'm 22 years old.
Yeah.
So a lot of these girls I either dated before or I was friends with, but at the same time they were hooking up their boyfriends at that time. Like it was a free for all.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Trust a 22-year-old that you've seen hanging out the whole time?
Yeah. That's
now running this bar? I didn't gain a lot of respect at that time, and I felt like it took a little bit of time to figure out the system, the point of sale, All
Was
the
your
different
dad hands on at all,
intricacies.
or was he more of a backdoor guy?
So that's a great question. So he loved back of the house kitchen, and he loved. I mean, he's a workhorse. He's taught me my work ethic, and he was back there running the kitchen. And I will never forget on the early days when we started getting busy. There'd be a couple times and you hear a motherfucker, and then all of a sudden this chimichanga would hit the wall and just melt down the wall with beans and queso down that FRP, and just slowly work its way down, and he'd fire a chimichanga at the wall, and not because
when someone made it wrong or something.
You would say, I need they wanted no beans. I need a steak fajita chimichanga with just cheese and meat. Right away. Whatever that word is.
Get all fired up,
and he get fired up and just fire something in.
It's like a manager of a baseball team. Team's doing a little bad. You got to go out there and wrestle some shit up.
Yeah. And so he would do that, and but at the end of the day, dude, we ended up coming together and figuring it out, and people started trusting me more, and respecting me as I got a little older, yeah.
Do you remember like one specific time where you felt like that really changed?
I would say that in about a 2-year span, I felt like I'd gone from being this 6-year senior that owns a bar to somebody that is taking his job seriously, and other people are seeing that he is. I had this one guy. He decided that it was kind of like Jimmy's was going to be like Dick's Last Resort, and where he can just kind of make up his own rules and everybody can talk shit to the clientele. Mm-hmm. And he got on the mic one time and said, "Close your tab, cocksuckers." And I'd heard about it. I don't think I was there that night, and maybe I rewinded some tape or something, but whatever the case was, I was like, dude, he really said that? I mean, that's just taking it way too far. So I called him in my office the next day, and I said, "Hey, man, you can't tell people that, dude. That was way over the top."
Yeah.
And he goes, "You're nothing but a peon, Kyle, right? You'll always be a peon, and you're a peon." And that gave me the most momentum ever.
Yeah.
I looked at him and I went, "You know
Who
what?"
said this?
He was just a bartender at the time.
Okay.
I don't know what this guy's doing now. And I was just like, you know what? But things like that, I think in all of our careers, when somebody says something that's so like degrading and like so, it just gives you this drive to where you're just like, peon?
Yeah.
You call me a peon, dude?
Yeah.
And
so that guy, like, at the same time was not serving you well, but at the same time kind of served you the most.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, he talked shit to my customers and thought he was invincible.
Yeah.
Thought he was the man of Chimmy's, in the early days, and he wasn't anything.
It's kind of like that.
You don't
that
talk
old,
to people like that.
It's that old cut of Jimmy Johnson when the dude had asthma, and he goes, "You ain't want to have asthma on my field.
Yeah.
Take your asthma to the other field."
Exactly.
Cut him that day.
Yeah, exactly. And like Mike Leach when he sent Chris Sims' son to the shed.
Yeah.
No, I mean it. Go get in that shed.
Yeah.
But I told this guy, I said, I'm not sure what you mean by all that, but you're fired. And he goes, "You're nothing but a peon."
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Well, hey, whatever, I mean, you were young at the time. Maybe that was the little stepping stone you needed to kind of like Fred asked you the question, like, we all need those little stepping stones to kind of reach the next level. So tell me how we'll get to Borracho in a second, but tell me how you got involved and got invited to Casting for a Cure when it was in Victor and those days. And, like, what year roughly of Casting for a Cure was that, and how did you find it and decide that, yes, I'm going to enter that tournament?
So that's a wild story, and I bet that's like 2012 or 13 that Cole Roberts and Glenn Polk were going to Idaho and they were a part of this, and they told me about it maybe one year, and you know, in one ear out the other, I was busy or whatever, and then Jim Ogburn, our buddy, he ended up being a part of it.
Oh, yeah,
and
so
so
Bar Z.
exactly, Bar Z got involved, and so all of a sudden, one summer in July, I answer my phone. And it's like all those guys together, and it's Jim and
because they
Cole.
were up there.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I'm like, holy shit, y'all all know each other? You know,
Yeah.
like, what is this?
Yeah.
And I was like, what are y'all doing? And so
Now you're like, I can't miss next year.
I learned about it, and they were like, well, we can put together a team for you, you know, and sweet Bill Farnham, who is, I just talked to tonight, and Ella is going to come in and be at Borracho 14, and we're going to put her on a boat, and Bill's the inspiration for this whole thing, for everything we do. He is the ultimate inspiration. And so I find myself in Victor, and you know, I think I was the bridesmaid party like 2 years in a row, second place. I mean, just like a half inch from winning first. Like, you know, here's this belt buckle for second. You know?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is not what it's about. And then at the same time, Paul, I was like, we had 2 or 3 years of Borracho already behind us, maybe 2. And I was like, wait a minute.
Oh, so
What? Borracho was just a fun tournament, and then I go to casting.
it was
for a
never
cure.
so it was never connected to
No, at that
Borracho
point,
was
no.
a separate deal.
Separate deal. So
Okay, I didn't know
Borracho
that.
went on for 2 to 3 years.
I thought you started Borracho because of Casting for a Cure.
So RT and I went to Casting for a Cure, and RT missed the first Borracho when I called it Borracho Pescador. Didn't know Hope was in the middle of the thing. I just showed Fred. But anyway, we start that deal. We go to Casting for a Cure, and I look at RT and I'm like, are you thinking what I'm thinking? And he's like, hell yeah. And we go back to Borracho 3, 4, whatever that year was. And that was like 15 or 14 or 13 or 14 is when we started figuring it out.
So before it was just 12 dudes hanging out.
Oh, yeah.
Throwing $100 each into it. And just,
So that's a great story, side story, real quick. I was renting the house that we were all staying in, putting the guides together. If you were going to be fly or bait and artificial, and so these guides. And by the way, we decided that it would be a good idea just to mix some flounder gigging in the night before that we started the tournament.
Kind of like a
just
pre-fish.
Yeah. You know, flounder gigging starts at 11 p.m.
Sure.
They come home about 3.
Yeah.
2:30.
Yeah.
You know, good
Makes
start.
for a great
Yeah.
Friday morning to start the fishing tournament.
Horrible idea. So the guys would come out, and I would always have our own boat, so we would go out, be so fucking tired, and get in our boat at 7 or whatever, and roll out of there, 4 hours of sleep. But the other guys that didn't give a shit, that had guides that I got, they didn't show up. So the guides, I'm getting ready to leave, and the guides are standing there, and they're like, where's all my guys? Are you Kyle Wright? And I'm like, I am, but I'm going fishing. They're in there. Just call that number or whatever. And I would leave. So my name ended up being Mud because, you know, I was the name. And so, anyway, that was about 2 or 3 years of Borracho, and then we were done. RT and I said, we're not in charge of lodging, we're not in charge of guides. This and that, it grew from like 20 to 60, and then 60 to 80, and then 80 to 160.
So that was the year you basically said, if you want to be in this tournament, you're in charge of your own guide.
Yes.
All we care about is you send us your money, your entry fee, and whether you're fly or Bart. And then you had all the big things started happening, like Yeti's involved, Howler's involved.
That's right.
So that took on a whole new thing.
Oh yeah, and I used to call Roy.
This is probably about when you started trying to recruit me to come.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I went to school with Roy. Roy was a Fidel, or Roy was a SAE, and I was a Fidel. And I felt so bad about emailing him and asking for a cooler for Borracho.
One cooler.
Just one cooler for the prize.
This is probably like right when the Tundra came out.
Yeah,
like 2012
they were early.
or something.
Yeah, and they were knee deep in this deal.
Yeah.
And he goes, no problem, and was always very, very gracious about giving us stuff.
One cooler.
Yeah. And now, I mean, fast forward.
What would you say? How many? You have a box? How many boxes of? How many of the lunch boxes do you have coming? Like 300 lunch boxes?
We have 390 lunch boxes. And
you were worried about getting one cooler back in the day. It's crazy, man.
We saw Jake Dries tonight. He's made everything for Borracho come to life.
Yeah.
He's the behind the scenes man. He's hard to get a hold of because he's doing stuff like this.
Yeah.
Like he's the man. He's the man of the people. But super thankful for Yeti. And then Rick comes. That's another story. And Rick would appreciate me saying this for Howler. Those guys at first, and I don't know what year this was. Let's just call it BP 10 or 12 or 11. BP 10 probably. And he tells RT to get on there and just order some shirts online and gives him a discount code. Well, then that was the year of the privateers, and the privateer guys showed up, and they rolled in, and I think they called Rick right away, and they go, "These are all our people, dude. Like this is big.
This isn't just a transactional thing."
They brought a reel, and I think we gave it to you, maybe. I can't remember. And a bunch of hats, like 24 hats.
We're at 14, right? BP 14.
Yeah.
I think my first one was 8.
Okay, I think this was 9, maybe.
Okay.
And
I have the reel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they called Rick, and they were like, "This is a little bit bigger deal than you playing for, buddy. Like we need to get our shit together."
Yeah.
And Chase saw it and thought the same thing the following year when they all came in. And Howler's been unbelievable, instrumental. Yeti, and then Howler, and then Turtle Box, and Duck Camp. And these guys, everybody, we went from trying to get in the industry and just get a few things to them all wanting to come out together and created the biggest community, like a drive almost. Like everybody was like in this community drive aspect.
Well, to me, it proves that you can have companies all pitch in and help that do similar things, and it not feel like we're competing.
Yeah.
So much more than we. It's kind of like the whole idea of 2 fly shops from the same town. You can still work together.
Absolutely.
All your customers are going to go to both shops. So if you start talking shit about one shop, you're going to eventually be out of business.
Yeah.
Because this fly fishing community wants to help wants everyone to be successful.
Well, the kind of people that go to fly shops are the same kind of people that want to do for everybody to do good.
Yeah, they want Howler to be successful. They want Duck Camp to be, and I feel like Duck Camp and Howler coexist well.
Yeah.
And they are similar, but they also make very different products.
Yeah.
And I think in my world, that's how I live in this fly fishing world, because I feel like I'm friends with people in every rod company, every reel company. I don't ever want to be an ambassador that only picks Orvis or only picks Sage.
Yeah.
I want to touch and feel everything. I want to fish and feel everything, and I feel like that's what I love is fly fishing industry, because I feel like it's a very good team, concept where, like you said, everyone wants everyone to be successful, and that's where Borracho, I think, does so great, because all those companies come together for one, and it makes it so much more powerful. And how much money have you guys raised in the last 14 years?
Last year, Paul, we raised 1.2 million total, and we know we're going to bust 1.5 this year, and BP 14 probably want more like 1.7.
And where does all that money go to? What are y'all's different?
And so every
lines?
dollar goes for kids, first of all. And the biggest impact is going back to what Bill Farnham and showed us in Casting for a Cure is international Rett syndrome, and the funds that go to that goes to Rett syndrome. Those dollars are for any childhood disease with neurological disorders.
Okay.
So whether it's Rett syndrome or for Nacho and Neil's son, and Marfan syndrome, any of those different disorders that affect kids, we are directing dollars to that research. And what I meant to say earlier was Texas Children's Hospital. We got to visit Texas Children's Hospital, and it was unbelievable. The research, you know Houston as the mecca for medical science, and we went into Texas Children's and got a tour of that place, and the way in which those research dollars, they showed us a couple of robots that were directing different studies, and they had to do with fruit flies, because fruit flies have the same amount of cells, make up the same amount of cells as a human, and one
Really?
small a fruit fly, yes. And they were studying all this,
That's
and
insane.
they were showing us and basically saying, "Your $650,000 paid for this," and to be a part of a project and hear where exactly the money has gone is something I never thought that would happen.
It's gonna feel incredibly satisfying.
Yeah,
And to see it in action.
it always felt like there was going to be some kind of deal where you gave money to something that you believed in, but you didn't really know.
The vacuum just sucked it in and it was gone.
Yeah, and for Ryan and I to go watch and listen and see this, it was incredible.
Well, I know that you affected a buddy of mine's life, Rick Crawford, when you guys for 2 years sent several $1,000s to Medical University of South Carolina Children's in Charleston, and that just made him feel like Baker, when Baker passed, that it wasn't just forgotten.
Yeah.
And that made a difference to him and his family and to the hospital. So clearly Borracho brings people together, fellowship, fishing, tons of fun, but it extends past that and can potentially change people's lives too, which is crazy to me. That is something you guys started and do, and every time we go there in September, man, we're having a blast, but we're also possibly making a difference.
Yeah, and we're led by something else, by the Holy Spirit, in which we really don't even understand. And this year, with Owen, and leading into something where our dear friend that feels like he's a part of this tournament as much as the board and everything else. He's like, he's the family and the fabric behind this deal, and to see him fight this disease and cancer and this tumor in which we want to shrink and be removed. It's so wild that within our small community that there's always these things evolving that we have to, like these little fires and embers that we have to put out. And I never knew, I never even could have imagined, and either could you, that it would hit as close as it has with Owen.
Yeah.
His attitude is great. He is checking every single every single obstacle that comes his way. He's whipping, and there is something to be said for a guy that came to me. He saw a Bible on my bed when he was at his first Borracho before he met you, and it was probably Wednesday leading into the tournament. You came in on Thursday, and he goes, "Man, this place is cool. I saw you doing some Bible study or something. This is like a church camp." And just the East Texas boy, just kind of calling it what it is.
Yeah.
And it's just such a community. It's just wild. I'm so thankful for everybody that pours their heart in, but this year especially goes for Owen Gaylor, and we are going to do everything we can to lift him up, to provide this new regained spirit within him, to keep fighting. And
I don't even know if he's gonna be able to handle it.
I don't either. He's gonna be there.
It's gonna be overwhelming for him.
Yeah.
Man. But you know what I told him last week when I told you about the conversation I had with him, where at the beginning of the conversation he was a little bit more negative towards coming. Not that he didn't want to come,
Sure.
but I think in his mind he was being maybe realistic, honestly. But the end of the conversation was, "I can't wait to see you, Borracho." So it flipped.
Yeah.
But I think, and I told him, I said, "Well, if you're not there, there's going to be 400 people that can't escape you, because between the posters and the shirts and the hats, you're going to be everywhere there, Owen. So if you can't be there, you're going to be there."
Yeah.
Now, I really seriously think he's going to be there. I don't think that's going to be a problem. But I don't think he's going to be able to handle how overwhelming. It's going to be overwhelming, dude.
I think so.
And I hope it is. I hope it is for him, because it's going to be, and he deserves that, man. He's such a special person. I told you earlier today, like, to me, he's kind of like my little brother. I don't even know how to explain it, but when you're in his presence, he is so magnetic that you want to know him. You want to know why he is who he is. How is he who he is? Because you're so drawn to him. And he's not even trying to make you like him. He just can't help it. And I don't know how and why he's like that.
Yeah.
But, so I think that's also what's going to get him through this, because of his positivity and the power that he's finding in God and his family and friends and the Bible and
That's right.
and fishing and fellowship, and maybe this Borracho will be the thing that pushes him through. Maybe he's already pushing through, but I think when he gets there, it'll be like a whole new church for him. You know, the church of fellowship.
I've never had anybody this young lead me the way he's led me already, and I didn't realize it at the time when he was well. And
Yeah.
when Brooke and I got to fish with him, Thanksgiving, and then RT and I, we would always go fish with them this time of year for pre-Borracho. We do a little fun tournament within a tournament, and you just take for granted the times you have with your amigos, and just the fun and just the laughter and so looking back, while he is curbed, everything's curbed right now while he's fighting this and getting treated. It's just like he is made to be outside. He's always been outside.
He's a cowboy.
He's a cowboy. He was a cattle farmer before, and now he's a saltwater guide. And dude, that's his deal. And he told me the other day. He goes, man, KDub, I now know kind of what you're feeling on your house. It just kind of sits there, and you don't know what's going on. I'm like, yeah. I mean, I miss it. Like it feels it's another home, and so when I'm not there, it's just like I think of every little crevice in that house because there's so much
Kind of what Scott was
energy
saying
and
about
soul.
this place in Jackson. Like,
Yeah, it's not a vacation house; it's a home.
it's your extension of yourself.
Yeah.
Well, we got one fly this weekend. We got day one tomorrow. What fly you going with?
Well, the more I think about it, and I'm going to sleep on it, it is a nymph because I'm in that first section of the dam down to
That's probably
the
not
bridge.
a bad idea. Yeah.
And I just feel like that's going to be the most successful thing. I'm going to my guy Joel Jackson Jenkins, shout out. He's this is his second year in the one fly, and he's a West Bank guide, which is cool for us. Team Pelicano. And by the way, it's not Pelicano, it's Team Pelicano.
Team Pelicano.
Yeah. So I don't really know. I'm going to rely on him early in the morning. I'm going to show him my cards, see which one he picks, and I'm going to stay confident. What about you, Pards?
Streamer, sinking leader, nothing crazy. Doug McKnight, home invader. I actually used it. It's already been used 2 years in a row. I'm going to use it for the third year in a row. The same fly, exactly the same fly. How about you, Fred? What are you going with tomorrow, buddy? What section you got?
Spring Creek to
That's right.
Eagle.
A little.
He
Fluffy.
is holding up a small simulator with
Foam
rubber
chubby.
legs, a
Yeah.
little chubby.
That guy, or just accidentally pulled one of the legs off this fucker.
Well, we'll kind of wrap this up. Fred, I'm looking forward to getting a little interview with you the next couple of days, too, if we can make that happen.
Maybe that guy.
Are you down with the podcast?
Absolutely.
All right.
And one last thing, Paul, that I think that what really makes me go to bed and lay my head down on a pillow and just be satisfied is all throughout tonight, wherever we went, and especially when we went out afterwards, we've still got it. We
Clearly, still got it.
Still got
we
it, son.
we went to a good spot tonight, and all the young people were out, and that's what we were once here and doing that same thing, and everybody's working in the industry or whatever, and they looked so young, but as they should. We're old, but man, as young as they look, they would walk by and high five, and we still got it. So
Took that small hand out there
Yeah.
and shook some hands.
yeah, that's right.
Well, good luck tomorrow.
Thanks, pal. You too, buddy.
And we'll see you in a couple weeks down in Port O'Connor, Texas.
You bet you.
Borracho. All right. We're out.
So